Welcome back to Kin in Line. This is part 40, and yes, we're still stuck in a bungalow in Kimberley with yet another male figure to be drawn. Legs foreshortened, Kortbroek, and he's reading and probably smoking a fag. Just before I get onto that little book, just have a look at this. Top secret, streng geheim, amptelik, official. So I must have got this file while I was in the military intelligence media center, and I just put some drawings in here which we'll get to later. But back to this little green book that I made, and here a couple more quick sketches. Rather like the one at the bottom with that foreshortened foot. Check how you can capture a pose in just about a dozen lines. And a little profile there. So here is a view out of a bungalow window somewhere. And there was a windmill in the distance there. So you have to really, when you're stuck doing in the army, you've got to just find stuff to draw, you know. And that's the most important part of being in the army, is what you can do that isn't military related. Nowadays, people probably all be on their phones, you know. Here's one of the numerous sleeping poses I did. And yet another. You'd think I'd have tired of doing this, but really when there was nothing else to do, I suppose I could have been reading War and Peace or something, but at least here I was being creative. And now I've got this sort of unique record. It's funny how when you're in such cramped quarters, you get boots emerging right next to a guy's head. I can't work out how that happened, but anyway. Another sleeping beauty. I wonder what solo was. I think it might have been a washing powder. And some more of my writings, political commentary. It's all about the PFP, which I supported. Okay, so we're getting onto this secret document here. I hope that, not some serious state secrets aren't revealed, but never know. Like Jacques Poe would be worried now if he saw me delving here. So a nice bright red piece of card, and this is done from life. I don't know why, he looks like he's just kind of resting his hand against his forehead. And then an interesting one behind here where I've incorporated two sketches from life into this sort of abstracty composition. Here a very quick few lines to try and catch this pose. As I explained earlier, I also do these abstracts as an alternative to the life, sort of from drawings from life. And here, I don't know what sort of creature's lurking in this corner here. But They're also done in the army as a sort of form of escapism, really. I think there's quite a few of them in this secret document here. Oh yes, wait a minute now, how does this work? It's a light plug. I can only assume the pencil's lying on the ground, so the plug must have been hanging from somewhere. As I said, anything goes when you need it to draw. And there, another weird bird, sort of albatross or something. This time I vote, I obviously didn't write this because I would never put a dot on the top of a capital I. It's going to be PFP. I kept this for the really wacky drawing on the back. And here again, incorporating drawings from life with abstract sort of I'm not going to show you these yet because they're from after the army ended. Or are they? Wait, sorry. 681. So these were actually done in June 81, just before I cleared out of the army. Two cartoons. I've followed the sort of disintegration of the National Party closely. The split between the verkrampters under Andries Treenicht, who we can see on the left, being punched by Pik Botha, who was a more verlig or enlightened. So we had conservative, verkrampt, and enlightened verlig. And that's P.W. Botha, the then president, I think executive president, or he was soon to be, he was a prime minister, but became a president in the early 80s. And he's enjoying this mix-up between these two. And here we've got Andries Treenicht. I called him Andries Achteruitgang, which means going backwards. And behind him is the apartheid figure, a sort of symbol of the misguided policies that destroyed South Africa for so long. And there we've called Pik Botha, Pick n Betaal, Pick and Pay, which is a supermarket chain. Anyway, so this was done just before I went on, finished my 2 years. It is done on army. There's a caption for this. He must go. I say no. So they're talking about apartheid. And Pick says he must go, and Treenicht says no. No ways. This one says, Kom o Pick. So it looks as though PW was supporting Pik Botha. The many Bothas that determined our lives in those days. Because there was also a rugby player called Nas Botha, fly half, very good fly half. Kicked very well. And yeah. So here the army was clearly in my bones by this stage, and this little weird head with an army sort of helmet on. And this is upside down. Quite a sort of suggestive image, this. I won't tell you suggestive of what, I'm sure you can make it out. Yeah, and here again I'm sort of playing with the shape of pencils or whatever. Wonder if there's a drawing inside now. So, yeah, you know, canteen times. This was when we had all sorts of sign writing and stuff we had to do, so I was obviously just playing around with that. And quite an interesting composition. My initials there at the top is CKB. And where were we heading? This river was going down into some mountains, heading towards some mountains, heading out of them. Would I end up like this Dickensian clerk? You know, that could have been my career in some bureaucratic dead end. This was, I think, inspired by Andy Warhol's plus, what were they called? Something Inevitables. Floating Inevitables or something. Another little exercise in shading, really. And yeah, this has become separated from its other drawings that I did when I was in sick bay with shingles. And this was after John Lennon had been assassinated. So I drew this. I must have done this with John in mind. Because it does have something of his look. So I'm going to have to leave you with John and probably see you next time. Cheers.